All right, good afternoon, everybody. Or actually, it's morning. Excuse me. Good morning, everybody. Maybe you're watching this stuff in the afternoon, so that would help. But anyways, we are on Unit 5, Session 3. I'm just pulling up our notes right now. Unit 5, Session 3. And it's been a long time since we've done one of these just because we had so much snow and different reasons we missed Sunday school. But I hope you guys enjoyed being back last week, and there's no ski trip this week, so everybody will be there. So we are in, like I said, session five, unit five, session three, and we are talking about Exodus 32 here, which is the story of Israel in the golden calf. And I actually studied this a lot last semester in my Old Testament class, so it's still kind of fresh in my mind. Um, but when you think about this story, it, there's some elements of it that we see that are elements that we see Jesus fulfilling. And I'll explain that as we go. But it's important in this lesson to make that connection to showing Jesus in this passage because he's there, or there's some parallelism at least. So Exodus 32 is kind of the narrative of when this happens. Moses has gone up on the mountain to receive the law of God. He's been up there for a while, and so the people grow restless, and they turn against God and create a golden calf as an idol of worship. And so that's the first 6 verses of Exodus 32. And believe it or not, Aaron, who is basically Moses' right hand man, is the one that like fashions the idol, the one that is kind of encouraging them to do this. And so you look at a guy that has watched God do all these miracles, has had Moses' back, and even he turns against God in this moment. And so we see Israel's unfaithfulness and their tendency to turn to idols, which would be a constant narrative in Israel's history. And again, the way we want to look at this is we want to parallel this to us, and so Israel's not God's chosen people anymore. We're God's chosen people. He's created a new covenant written in God's own blood and Jesus' blood when he died on the cross. And so you've got Old Testament Israel that really serves as a picture of what would take place in the new covenant, which is us. We are God's people now. And so think about all the times that we turn from God, that we run to our idols, right? And so in this passage, we are Israel, right? We are God's people that we've seen him work, we've seen him do these incredible things, and yet we turn from him. And then later on in that chapter, you see Moses asking God to be merciful. And in this passage, Moses serves as a mediator, right? He serves as a mediator between God and man because the people honestly were scared of God, right? In Exodus chapter 20, they when they originally went to get the law, or when the Ten Commandments were given in Exodus chapter 20, you've got you've got this picture of God wanting all the people to go up, but they were too scared, and so Moses Moses basically becomes the guy that speaks to God on Israel's behalf and really becomes this mediator. He's praying. He says, God, forgive them. God, don't hold this against them. Relent from your judgment. And he recalls the covenant that he made with Abraham years ago. The covenant was not dependent on what the people did, but on what God did and who he was. And so not that God was given, or that Moses was giving God a pep talk, if you will, but he was reminding him of this covenant. And it's through the prayers of Moses that God relents his anger for a time. And the reason that he can do that is because one day all his judgment would be poured out, right? Now his judgment was poured out in different ways throughout, judgments throughout Israel's history. They would rise up a nation and to destroy them. But the ultimate giving of God's judgment happened on the cross. And Jesus became the mediator between God and man, right? For all of us. And so because God is had to punish sin, the sin for entirety of human history, he put it on his son because his son was the only worthy sacrifice. And so in this passage, Moses almost serves in the same way that Jesus does. It's kind of a foreshadowing of what he'd do. And then finally, you see in Exodus 34 that he does relent. God does relent, and they're reminded of his graciousness and and how of a just God that he is. And so as you're thinking about this passage, think about that, of how there's this process of sin, and then there is um, a mediator between God and man. Jesus is actively our mediator. When we sin, he's the one that stands in the gap, of saying, God, I, look at what I did. Look at the sacrifice I made on the cross, right? My blood covers their sin, right? So that we don't have to die and face that eternal punishment if we're in Christ, right? And then God relents, and he shows his mercy. And so that's kind of how that whole process works, as far as that goes. And that's a great parallel to what we see here in Exodus. So I hope that helps you guys, and hope you have a great week. We'll see you on Sunday. See you guys.